Fragments of Silicon, still trucking even after all these years. All right, welcome to the first Fragments of Silicon Daylight interview of 2025, as it would surmise in a logical fashion. Anyway, I'm your host, Adam. Galik's not sure where he is right now. We assume work-related stuff. As can trip him up on Fridays, but regardless, joining us this week is Lukasz Rosinski of VARSAV Game Studios, who is returning to our shores after a good 5 years.
Hello.
So how are you doing?
Hello. It was a great week, like the first week of the year. So we came back to develop the game. So ready to 2025.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Right. So, recalling your last appearance on our broadcast, that would have been around the time of Bee Simulator, or that probably would have been our focus, given the release schedules and all that stuff. And I remember Bee Simulator being very popular. And we were talking a bit about this in the pre-show. But the subsequent game that you went on to develop didn't have nearly a rosy development process. So, can you tell us about Giants Uprising?
It's like the only way to develop games easily is just to have a sequel of a game that already has been a success. That may be an easy development way. When you choose a path that we chose with VARSAV Game Studios to develop games that are unique, games that have unique protagonists, it's all the time that you start from the scratch. So the history of my studio is that, yes, we started with Bee Simulator, so you are a bee in this game. Our second game was, as you said, Giants Uprising. So you are completely opposite, like a giant, a good guy, a giant in the world of small humans. And the current game is once again another game, like you are a dog, a special agent dog. So yes, choosing this path is not easy. But from the beginning of the studio, I wanted to develop something unique, not to copy the games that are on the market, not to copy the ideas that are on the market, just because I play games 35 years and I seek for that kind of games. And I believe deeply that having like a strategy, like a philosophy, is something that one day players will remember, will like. And one day we will have this idea, this game that will be like a huge success. Bee Simulator was a success. It was a very good game. It still sells very good as for a game that is 5 years old. Unfortunately, Giants Uprising that was released in 2021 wasn't a success. Wasn't the next big step in the history of the studio. We just didn't manage to deliver the budget that, to sum up, definitely the budget for the game was too low. Because there was no partner, we self-funded the whole development of Giants Uprising. We thought that having early access on Steam could help us continue the development and be successful with the final idea, final product, final game. Unfortunately, after about a year, we've seen that like it's not a game that could like drive us to survive. So like there was that kind of scale of problem with this game that we were not able to continue the development with the scale of human force that we needed to develop the game. So unfortunately, the first step was like to cut the team, and the second step was to choose a strategy, whether to continue and like close eyes and continue the development and finish the game, port it on consoles, and believe that it will be a success, or what we decided, try with something else, like an idea that I believe deeply is a great idea for a game. So to change the change the main protagonist, to go into the idea that we had the same time like a giant. We had an idea to have a dog game, so it's an idea from 2019. We started with a very early prototype, and it gave us huge amount of fun to just walk a dog. So we decided that unfortunately we have to freeze the development of Giants Uprising. We informed the community that we are not able to continue it, and we started like it's generally in development and in the relations with investors, because the company is listed on the stock exchange in Poland. It's sometimes easier to have like a new idea and try to have people for new idea versus talking with them. Yes, we continue the development because we deeply believe that we will be finally successful. So I managed to finance Barkur up until now. So we are talking about like around 3 years of developing Barkur for now, and we are very close to finish the game and to be able to potentially one day maybe have financial possibilities to come back to Giants Uprising and finish the game as we wanted it to be. So very, very, we are doing everything that is possible to finish Barkur with the quality that we wanted, without having that kind of problems with finishing the game and like delivering the final product. So yes, it's a very, very dark time of the studio. We cut the team from 55 people to 20 after the release, so it was very hard. So we had a crisis before the game development had a crisis. So it's like we know maybe I believe that I know what to potentially do, what kind of steps I should do in all the scenarios possible. Yeah, but like it's not easy to have that kind of situation, especially I am the management board, so like I am the CEO. I founded the studio. I will survive. Like I have to be tough, but like people that are developing games are different. Like artists from the sides of programmers and artists from the sides of 3D, 2D artists, and like that kind of emotions, they don't need it. Absolutely don't need it to be able to develop something unique. Fortunately, currently we are able to continue the development without that kind of problems. For example, because we had a success in the meantime. So between B Simulator, that is still selling very good in like my opinion. 5 years after release, games should not sell or should sell very low, and B Simulator is still selling. Like maybe not very good, maybe not giving us all the money that we need to develop Barkur, but giving us enough money to think about doing something once again with bees, because we deeply believe that like 5 years time we were not that experienced, we were not like able to do something more than we delivered in B Simulator. Currently, the team is much more experienced. I still have from the first team of B Simulator, I still have 5 people in studio. So 8 years from the beginning of the studio till now. So I believe that it's a success to still have some people from that team. Um, so yes, this is a dark story of Giant Surprising. It's really still believe that it's a great idea to have like a different approach to giants. So not to have a giant as a boss, as a opponent, but to be a giant. But yes, it's not easy idea to develop a good game, especially not easy to have like an indie budget game. So yes, when there is a budget, definitely Giant is a good protagonist.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to unpack there. Like, I suppose the first thing I want to address is, you mentioned at the beginning the notion of sequels. And the thing about what we call the indie circuit is sequels aren't really a common thing. Like, in fact, they're pretty rare. Though I guess in the case of B Simulator, there are ways you could have iterated and sequelized that, like Simulator, Hornet Simulator, a whole bevy of insects. Um, just to name a few examples. Was there any interest in, exploring more animals and simulating their experiences at all?
What I meant by sequel is like a game that you may use the experience, you may use the assets, you may use the uh, blueprints that you
Okay,
already developed.
I see.
So it's rather easy to have what you said. It's very easy to have B Simulator 2
Mhm.
by changing location, for example, adding new quests, adding new mechanics. It's rather easy to have a Wasp simulator. Our current idea is not to have like a typical sequel, just to explore the bees, because there are many different ways of having animals in games. Yeah. For example, there is a game from Poland called Timberborn, and it's a
Mm,
strategy game. It's
right.
it's it's that kind of approach is you are a beaver there. You manage a beaver's like city, and many different ways to use this. Especially that bees are interesting. They've got hives that they think as a one piece. So many aspects of bee simulator could be used to different games. We are not yet ready to decide whether to go with easy, rather easy in development, typical sequel, so adding new story, adding new elements, or to go a little bit into different directions, the direction like you said, so a wasp or just maybe add a wasp to the bee or whatever. Or go into completely different approach, so like a strategy game, for example, of building a hive. It's all of them will include some parts of B Simulator will be, I'm sorry to say it, cheaper in development because we don't have to do everything from the scratch. We may use the systems that we've got, for example, or assets or whatever UI aspects. Everything is still open. We don't have a plan right now. There is a plan.
Right,
There
right.
will be something coming from B Simulator this year. I am not yet ready to tell it publicly because yeah, some announcements are coming. Yes, we
Uh-huh.
believe that 5 years is a great moment to show that we still think of the first game from the studio. And something will happen with this IP from our side. Something not a huge thing, not a huge budget thing, but I believe that we are much wiser right now, and we are much skilled right now to deliver something for the players that played the game. It's it's I don't have a strict data because we had a publisher, and this publisher was not showing me the data of how many pieces were sold. But like from the pieces that could be counted, it's like above 300,000 copies. I mean, the copies that we sold, not minus 90% or minus 95%. Uh, and there is a huge amount of people asking us whether there's something new potentially coming. So yes, I believe that it's an IP that should deliver more for the players currently. But what is very good in B Simulator, from my perspective, is that like even if it's 5 years old game, it still delivers something that I see that the way how players play games right now versus what I remember from my childhood is that like it games are rather for the most of the players games are rather to chill. So you come back from I don't know school or work and you want to chill. So like the casual players are playing our game just to have a fun of flying. I believe that B Simulator had a very, very good from the perspective of the guy that invented the idea and the game and started the studio. We delivered flying in B Simulator. It was very smooth. It was very good, and like, and it's from for part of the players. I believe it's enough to have just a chill flying a bee and having some small mechanics. And this will definitely be an asset potentially for other games, other IPs, because like it's something that you don't have. It's not common in games. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with one of our designers. It's like why people play Microsoft Flight Simulator, just of having a chill of flying. Why they play Euro Truck Simulator, just because they want to have a chill of like finding what happened in a specific country. And B Simulator was placed in Central Park, New York. So many locations from Central Park are in the game. And I believe that, like, I don't know, people from New York may just fly a bee in Central Park. And that's enough reason to buy B Simulator.
Very possibly. I mean, did people give you their reasons for buying B Simulator?
Very good question. So, like, and it comes very from the strategy of us or publisher. We thought that we develop a game for kids playing this game with parents. There is a split screen multiplayer mode in B Simulator, so you may play together on one PC or console. All the consoles have it. Uh, and from the influences, from the YouTube, from Twitch, we mostly see adult people playing the game. Adult people playing the game just like having fun from our idea, so laughing that who invented so stupid idea, but when they start to play the game, like for real, when they see the trailer, they just laugh, well, what an idiot developer. And when they start to play the game, it's really like good quality in case of like indies or simulators. And there is a story. There are good cutscenes in the game. And when they started to play like for real, they thought, okay, it's a game. It's not a stupid simulator. So I believe that like this educational part of this game, for example, we had a beekeeper as a consultant for the project. So he helped us to be as close as possible in some cases because it's impossible to have like a typical simulator of being a bee because it will be boring, like extremely boring, because most of the bees they spend time in the hive and in the hive there is no light. So it's dark in the hive and it's very crowded. So having that kind of game, it's like it's rather stupid. But like we gave players some education around bees, and this I believe is a reason why, for example, parents buy the game for the kids, just to have like a quality fun, not just fun of having like a I don't know casual mobile game, but having fun
Mm-hmm.
with something that is good looking and something that gives like some educational value, and like maybe it's interesting. For example, with some of the cutscenes, there are like data around how many, I don't know, eyes do bees have, or how many species are there of the bees. Uh, Loading screens are also a source of education, because when the game is loading, we gave, I don't know, 150 or something facts around bees. So I believe that this good idea how to make a game with educational part, because typical educational games are not selling. No one is buying them. But having that kind of like interesting approach to education could be the reason. Another reason is definitely we had like many schools that bought the game for the kids to play, for example, after school, just because it's a good game. There is no violence or whatever. So yeah, there's many different reasons from most of the normal games. Like not only having fun, but maybe having fun with something, with this education, with this good looking bee. We also had like, as I remember, 16 different species of bees that you are able to unlock in the game. One of them is black, and there is that kind of black bee, carpenter bee, as I remember. Uh, so maybe this could be something, because like when there is a summer and you see the bees, maybe like you could be interested. Okay, I would like to play it, and you have it in Bee Simulator. So this could also be a reason. I don't know. Uh, it's rather because there is no uh, that kind of game. Still, there is no let's say competition. Bee Swarm Simulator is completely different. It's the only in the name it's close, but it's completely different game. So yeah, I believe that like reasons that are not typical for games, just because it was unique. So in my opinion, my strategy was good. Like to seek for something that is not like on the market and try to do it the best way possible. And like when new players are coming to the games and like seeking for different ideas, different games, they will definitely find B Simulator, because like not many that kind of games are on the market. And for example, on Nintendo Switch, the game sold very good on Nintendo Switch. It's really fun of flying when you have a handheld mode, yeah, flying the bee there. So maybe that the port for Switch was good quality in case of the movement, in case of smoothness of flying. Yeah, this could also be a reason.
Possibly. Did you handle the Switch port yourselves, or did you contract out for that?
No, so it was very tough time, the ports of B Simulator, because we started the development in 2016. In 2018, we signed with a publisher, and
Mm-hmm.
mm, November 2019, the game was delivered. So released one day on PlayStation, on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, both digital and physical, all of them. So, and we were a startup studio, yeah.
Hmm.
So it was extremely tough in case of the schedule. Why? Because November is before Christmas, and the publisher wanted our game to be on Christmas on the shelves of the stores. So it was extremely tough to deliver the schedule. For you to know when you want to deliver a game on Switch, in November, so 19th of November, uh, you have to
Mm-hmm.
deliver a gold version of the game on just because of all the cartridge and logistics and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it takes a while
So
to get the cartridges made and stuff like that. It's not like Steam where you could release it the day it's done.
absolutely the same with updating the game. It takes huge amount of time. For example, B Simulator is unique also from because publisher thought that it's a game for kids and parents, but for kids. So the game is like translated into 13 languages, all of them with voiceovers. We've got 13 voiceovers in the whole game. We've got, I don't know, Czech language with voiceovers. So I don't believe, I don't know, I don't remember how we did it, but we did it. And like this voiceovers was a huge problem for Switch because having all the voiceovers on the cartridge will make the game like be forced to use bigger cartridge. When you use bigger cartridge, you pay more for the cartridge. So we had to cut off all the voiceovers apart from the English one and add them as a DLC. So for example, like that kind of stuff is also happening with a game when you want to deliver, especially with the physical. When the game is only digital, it's much easier. It's much more time to deliver the final and much easier to update the game. So yes, it's funny because for B Simulator we had two porting houses. Like two companies helped us with the ports. One of them helped us with the Xbox and PlayStation, and the other one was dedicated only for Switch. So yes, it was like still managing the development of the game. Already started with porting the game, and three different processes, like three different certification processes, all of them the same time. So yes, it was a very very hard time in like from the June 2000, let's say from the beginning 2019 till the end of 2019 to deliver. And it was, I agree with the publisher, it was a very good idea to have the game before Christmas because we've seen many people buying the game for Christmas present. So yeah, this was a good idea, but it forced us to do many different things, much less wiser than possible. But like, yeah, we managed, but like the help was needed definitely. And it's completely, it's potting games is a specific process. Like it's not that you have these people that develop the game. So let's say programmers that develop normally the games, they don't know this process of porting the game or certification. The using specific entities, specific companies that will help you in this process is much wiser, from my perspective of like developing games.
Yeah, we've chatted with several studios who their whole thing is porting games for other consoles.
You know the specifics, you know the process. You have people that just sit on a game and they from the beginning they know, okay, this is not optimized, we have to optimize it because the amount of frame rate you have to deliver on Switch is, I don't know, 60. And like it's a completely different approach versus, it's not creative. Like I'm sorry to say, but it's not anything creative.
It depends on
like
your
when you
meaning
have
of creative, because there is some creative programming stuff that needs to go into optimize stuff, like especially for the
of course.
Switch.
I mean creative, like developing games and like seeing the effect.
Right.
Because
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of different forms of creative, not just art and stuff like that.
Like trying to figure out how to get a PlayStation 4 game into a Nintendo Switch cartridge. You sometimes have to be very creative to do that.
Yes, completely agree with specifically with B Simulator. Also, you have to remember that B Simulator, you are a bee, and you are able to land on grass, like on the ground, and you are able to climb a tree. So the scale of a bee, like the bee is a bee, it's a little bit bigger than normal bees versus the normal world, but still you are a bee and you are able to land on the ground. So, and it's the Central Park location is, it's a big one. It's not something that you finish in 15 minutes. So yes, it was like, I'm sorry that I said it's not creative. It was very creative to have switch port of B Simulator on a cartridge. Yes.
Like, in fairness, there's a way to split the difference on the Nintendo Switch. Like, you have part of the game on the cartridge, and then you download the rest. A lot of people do that. Like,
it wasn't rather the amount of data that you have to have on the cartridge, but it's 2019. It's still a time that some of the people were playing Switch offline, yeah, like without having like internet and without like just having the cartridge, and they wanted to play with the cartridge. But yes, it wasn't the problem of how big was the game. It was rather the problem how big was the location. So the game had to be very optimized. Of course, like you see it with graphics, but like you see it with many aspects that are smaller on Switch, like the amount of RAM that you may use for some of the aspects of the game was way lower on Switch. So yeah, this is definitely a kind of magic happened with B Simulator, that we delivered this Switch port the same day as the rest of the consoles.
Anyway, since we don't want this interview to be completely subsumed by B Simulator, we feel it's a good time to move to your current project, Barcore, which is certainly a unique concept, if nothing else. Because, okay, I think people can infer that, Barcore, it involves dog and parkour, but there's a lot more going on here because you're playing as a dog secret agent.
Exactly. It's like
Against evil cats. So I'm wondering, where did this idea come from?
I must say that it came from iterations. So there was 2019. There was an idea. We sat on a brainstorm, and I told to the team, I want to have like something unique, like another animal protagonist, another different protagonist, another game, that kind, let's say, like B Simulator. And there was very fastly we got to an idea of two animals, dog and cat, because it's rather, once again, the same story. We checked 2019, so we checked if there was a game like current generation game, because there was Nintendogs, for example. There were some games with dogs, but like there was nothing that time with cats and dogs, like really nothing.
I think it was just before Stray was announced.
Oh, Stray was announced in end of 2019 or beginning 2020.
So you're like, we dodged a bullet, lads.
And it was extremely easy for us when we've seen the announcement of Stray that we will not continue thinking about cats. So yes, the dog was very early in the history, and like we started to brainstorm what to do with a dog. And that time we had a team that was very open for story-driven games. So we thought of a story, what could a dog do? And it was very fast that we came to K9 dogs, so military or police or whatever, that kind of special forces dogs, because they have a very good base for a game, potential mechanics. Because like I really like Stray for the graphics, for the animations. But like, I'm sorry to say, but like, it's not a kind of game in case of mechanics that I prefer. So like, I don't play walking simulators. Like, I don't like, I just like playing games, not just enjoying the game. So, and the same was with my team. So we seek for an animal that could have like interesting mechanics from the scratch. So we start thinking about dogs. Okay, I see the gameplay. When you think about the cat, it's really hard. Like I had both dogs and cats in my family. Now I've got a dog, and like this dog extremely is Irish setter, so it's extremely active dog. When you go on a walk, you walk like you may run with the dog. When I had cats, most of the time they slept. So like, or maybe jumped with having fun with a toy, yeah. And like it was
Yeah.
much easier when Stray was announced. It was much easier for us just to forget about like cats because already a cat game is there. So the marketing point that we had with B Simulator will not be present. They will be faster than us. So we decided with the dock. But the first approach was very deep into story. We went very, very deep in scenario. We like Parkour is the second dog game that we develop. So there is a previous one, a very good one that I believe one day there is a possibility that we come back to this idea, especially when Parkour will be successful game. Then definitely we'll start a new market of like dog games. Uh, but the problem with this, we call it Project Aria. Uh, the problem with Project Aria was that it was when a game is story driven, you have to have cutscenes, you have to have like huge amount of voiceovers, and like everything is costly. Like story driven games are very costly, and like players want to have like the same amount of gameplay when a game is based on mechanics versus when the game is based on story. So let's say several hours, 10, 12, or whatever. Having a good quality story that long and having all the cutscenes and every locations looking very good is very costly. Versus, as I said, with Giant Surprising, it wasn't the best time in the history of the studio in case of budget. So after about a year of pre-production, we managed to deliver a proof of concept of Project Aria. We had huge amount of work in case of art style. The game is extremely unique in case of art style. But like we, all of us sat and decided that we have to think about like something that is possible to be developed, like not cheaper, but like wiser. So we started to think about mechanics. So the game based on mechanics, not based on story. Of course, all of the games that we developed have a like backstory or a story, just a story. But story-driven game is something that like yes, it's a next step definitely in the history of our studio or all the studios. It's very hard to develop something that will have a unique story that players will remember and players will play for long years. With Parkour, we went into the direction with this special agent doc. We went into two directions. So first one is that there is a story, but like smaller story, and the story is rather backstory that gives you fun, that is funny, that is we've got gags, we've got memes in the story, just to have fun of being doc. And like the mechanics is something that is just before Christmas. I told during the Christmas Eve in studio, I told the team that it's extremely ambitious what we deliver, what we try to deliver, what we try to develop, because Parkour is connecting three mechanics that all of them could be a separate game. The name is Parkour, but like it was very hard to have a very good name that will show all the aspects of the game. So we decided with Parkour because it's like unique and it's easy to remember, and it's like Stray success. Like a big part of success was marketing, and big part of marketing was the name Stray. You
Barker,
just remember
I
it.
think,
You don't have to think of.
yeah, Barker, I think, is a very good name for getting
Yeah,
across
yeah.
your.
It's a very good name, but like to have all the aspects of the game, we should add something more. But we decided not to add it, just to show it. So to finish to finish my thought, we connect in one game three mechanics. So I mean combat, stealth, and parkour in one game. And like from what I see, we play the game every Friday. There is a play check of parkour. Like we will deliver. like something that will give the players that play stealth game a very interesting approach to stealth. The players that play games that are very action driven, so you need to have skills to have this parkour in our game. And the combat is very good with the story. So it's rather going into having fun combat, not just like a blood and violence. Yeah. So something that all of the aspects of all the mechanics in the game are connected with the main protagonist. So our dog, this special agent dog, is based on James Bond movies. So you are a James Bond like 009, like K9 agent, because the story, the loop in our game is almost the same like all the movies, like all the James Bond movies. So we start in headquarters. In James Bond movies, Q gave you a gadget specific for this mission. You receive the mission, and you approach the mission with a train, a plane, or whatever. Then you have the mission that is like all the missions in all the movies were in different locations. You do something on the mission, so you fight with someone, you parkour. All the James Bond movies are with parkour. All the time, James Bond is running and jumping on the rooftops. Yeah. So the same with parkour. So we start with headquarters. There are gadgets that we choose for the mission. There is a specific mission that we choose, that we receive. We go on the mission. We do something on the mission. So we parkour, we combat, we stealth on the mission. And once again, we come back to the headquarters. We gain another mission. We go approach new mission. So yes, this is much more than just like, experience of being a dog. It's a real game of a dog protagonist that is having mechanics, that is doing some interesting stuff. The amount of combat or stealth gadgets that we've got in the game is not yet like, we've got much more than we will have in the final game, but it's huge amount of gadgets that we will have in the game. And the players will be able to have like completely different approach to each mission. So each mission, each map is designed to be interesting both for the players that like stealth approach. So let's say like dog lovers, let's call them, because they just want to experience being a dog and maybe not to fight too much, not to be sweat too much after playing the game. But also interesting for the combat players and the players that seek for some kind of like parkour experience. Of course, we don't have parkour like in Dying Light parkour or that kind of extremely high skilled parkour game.
Right.
But yeah, this is very interesting approach, especially that it delivers the experience that you might have from a K9 dog. Of course, not a typical like couch dog. It should be definitely the reference dog is rather K9 killer dog versus a couch dog sitting all day on couch. But still, dogs are the dog in our game is really doggy. So like you will feel definitely the same like in Stray. So once again, coming back, I believe that a big part of the success of Stray is that the developer delivered experience of being a cat. So when you started to play, you just felt that you are a cat. I believe that we will be close to Stray in case of that you will definitely feel that you play a dog. No, let's say the special agent.
Hello?
Yeah, I just needed to water.
That's fine. We didn't know if we were having connection issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Especially with guests from overseas, yeah.
Yeah. And, so speaking of dogs, do you play as a certain type of dog, or can you select your breed?
Of course, I know the answer, but the answer is not yet public. But okay, so we have a very, very interesting Agent Thunder main protagonist.
Uh-huh.
And we chose that we will have a mixed breed dog as the, let's say, beginning agent, because those are the most popular dogs around the world. So mixed breed, not like a specific breed. But of course, when like thinking about like what could player want from a game that you play a dog, definitely one of the first things on the ladder will be, yes, definitely I would like to play, I don't know, Irish Setter, Labrador, or whatever, German Shepherd or Belgian Malinois. Uh, it's once again us being wise. We chose that, like, yes, players will be able to customize the dog. Let's say it that way. Yes, players will be able to customize the dog. Why being wise? Because we chose the breeds, the look of the dog, uh, with the skeletons that are close to Agent Thunder. Why the skeleton? Because skeleton is the main way to animate the dogs. So
It's
you,
a
you
lot
have a
easier to put a
skeleton.
different breed's like texture
Yes.
pattern on than trying to add in a chihuahua or a little
Yes.
bulldog or something like that.
Especially that extremely small dogs are very hard to have interesting gameplay. Especially the gameplay that we have, like this mechanics that I told. And huge dogs like the dog breed are too slow.
Yeah, like a
Would
mastiff
be,
or something like that
yeah.
would be difficult to do the parkour aspects.
So it's rather natural that we chose the mid-size animal as the main protagonist and the main way how we will deliver the dogs. Just because it's natural. It's in K9 in military there are, I don't know, 4 or 5 breeds only that are popular. So Belgian Malinois, a German Shepherd, some Labradors, yes, because Labradors are a little bit bigger, but like not that big. But that's almost all. And I believe that players will be happy with the choices that we made in this aspect, especially that we want to deliver them feeling that they play the breed, not just like change the skin. Yeah. So like it's not that we will just like not do anything apart from changing the fur, but like yes, this is a big part of the game. Like the difference maybe with other games or the Stray game, that there will be a choice, and like the customization is a aspect that we were very happy with Bee Simulator. Huge amount of players played the different bees, not the European honeybee that was the first bee that you played in Bee Simulator. And I just believe that this is a very good aspect in games when you have a choice as the player. Yeah.
Indeed. And I do hope that the player base will be happy with your choices because, going back to Stray, I remember, news articles coming out about how people were modding their cats into the game, which was relatively easy to do because a cat is a cat is a cat
Yeah.
in terms of like basic skeleton, facial features, and all that. But yeah, dogs are very different depending on the breed. So, like you're not replacing an Irish setter with a pug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a
Exactly.
chihuahua or something like that.
Especially that I know the Irish setter, especially she's sitting around me.
As pets are wanting to
They've
do.
got these ears. The Irish setters have these ears, like specific long ears with the hair on them, and when they run, the ears are running with them. Yeah. So this is a different. This is like a different dog, not a typical, and this is something that definitely needs different skeletal, because we need these ears to be like flying, let's say.
Right.
But like those are of course, it's like comparing. I'm sorry to say it because I'm a CEO. I have to count money. Comparing to all the costs that we have with the game development, it's rather not a very costly thing to have a skeletal. It's a very costly to have all the animations retargeted or made from the scratch.
Yeah, so you don't
So
have a bow-legged dog running around and stuff like that because you didn't have that perfect skeleton mapped out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
of course we are able to do it, especially once again when the game will be popular and players will just. I deeply believe that players will force us
Oh yeah,
to
it's
add
very
new
much one of
breeds.
those things. If the game gets popular, it wouldn't be much to add new skeletons and new breeds.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's just one of
Def-
those things. It needs to be worth it.
yeah. Especially that, like the amount of breeds is close to unlimited.
Yeah.
So it's of course potentially the same. We may make the game moddable, so they may add themselves if they like. Uh, so yeah, this is a base, a very good base in my opinion, especially with different locations that we've got in the game. The base, I mean, potential to develop the game further after the release. So adding new missions, adding new dogs, adding new gadgets, adding new, I don't know, whatever is like natural. It's easy for us, especially when the base is there and the base is like working properly, it's optimized because huge amount of things happen with games after the development is finished.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this will be interesting for you. Like I believe that Barkor will be our first game that we will have like finished before the release, and before the release there will be a post-production phase. So in a very extremely rare process of developing games, you should have pre-production phase, production phase, and post-production phase that is before the release.
Right. Stuff
So
like
the game is
the day
finished.
one patches, if it finds out, oh no, something's not right on the cartridge or whatever, you can get patches ready to go out so you aren't having problems on release.
Not only this, I mean, the game is finished. We don't touch any mechanics in the game. We don't touch any bug because there is, let's say, there are no bugs in the game.
Mm.
But we just play our game and like balance all the aspects.
Right.
Like it's very hard to do it during the development because you just have to deliver new things, deliver.
It's one of those things you need to keep scope under control or things are going to get crazy and it's never coming out.
Yes, and we cut it, for example, with the gadgets. We just cut it some of them, and they are already made. Like the models are done, and we may add them, of course. But like you have to decide to cut the scope just to be able to deliver a final product, not just all the time develop the game. It's the hardest thing in game development to finish the game.
Mm-hmm.
But this process of post production is the, let's say, 15% of the time, but it could be like 40% of the quality. So the balance of a game, it could also be done like after the release. Yeah, many games are successful enough to have like revenue and to be able to for the team to develop the game after the release, and they will just do the same, but it's already after the release. So players, the beginning players, the first players, experience different game than the one that will have the game a year after release. It's doable. We haven't experienced that kind of process in our studio because B Simulator, as I told you, was like it was very tough to deliver with dates. Giant Surprising was an early access game, so we haven't finished just the base game. We haven't finished with Barkur. I deeply believe that we will find time between the end of development and the release to be able to just not only Fridays, because every Friday we play the game, but it's 1.5 hours, and all the team members are looking at the stream, and one or two or three maybe closer team members every week. Different team members are playing the game, but still it's not enough. Of course, we plan to have playtests. Of course, we plan to have alpha, beta phase and outsource testers. But it's something that is very crucial, in my opinion, to have a great game versus a good game. To deliver a great game, you just have to have this post-production phase before release, just because the game will be much better for reasonable costs. Like for a cost that, if you have time, if you have money, we have money, then we definitely will try to have that kind of phase. And for example, when we have a game that is ported on consoles, this could be a time that the porting house is porting the game. We may still continue the development of the PC version of the game and to have it better, and then the porting house will just add the aspects that we changed to the build. And yeah, I deeply believe that there is a place for that kind of process in Barkur this year.
Mm-hmm. And we are running low on time, so I think I'll wrap this up by at least asking, do you have a release window in mind for Barkur?
Officially 2025, unofficially late 2025.
Officially when it's done.
And it's the best way to release a game when it's done. But I see all the maps, I see all the mechanics, I see the optimization process. It's not going extremely smoothly, it's going smoothly. We have problems. We changed for the Unreal for the new version, and it took us 2 weeks to fix the bugs that it delivered. But still, we are in schedule to have it 2025, but it will be late 2025.
Okay. And I suppose my final question is, have you sorted out any sort of pricing on the game yet?
I believe that the problem of indie games is that there is no inflation. There is rather deflation in the field of indie games versus the big games. So the base price of B Simulator was $34.99 USD. And I believe that it was high price. It was the decision of the publisher. I believe that will be lower. I deeply believe that this should be a game for a mass amount of players, just for kids or dog lovers to be able to play it. So I don't believe having a high price for a game. I rather believe of having huge amount of players playing the game, and the revenue will be the same. Just more people will have fun with the game.
That is usually the idea here. So, if I had to guesstimate, this looks like something that would come out to 20-25 USD. At least that is our experience with
indie
games.
It's definitely the field that I'm thinking of.
Okay. Anyway, so Penny, is there anything further you wish to ask?
I have one that's hopefully quick. How is the animations of the dog handled? Are they using mocap, or is it I guess, quote unquote, hand animated?
Mix, because huge amount of animations. On the Steam page of the game, you have a stream that is showing the mockup. That we had 3 sessions of mockup for Barkur, but the final solution for us is a mix, because you are able to have a dog doing a simple going straight or turning left or right, but you are not able to have them parkour jumping and having it repeatedly. So one time and another. So it's a mix. A huge amount of animations are made by our 4 animators. All of the animators in the studio are women. So you will feel it with the animations.
And I think that's it from me.
All right. So yeah, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us here today to talk about Bee Simulator and Parkour and even Giants Uprising. Hopefully development continues along at its pace, and we see Barcore get released this year. Like,
Very hoping for it because it's the moment that we should definitely finish the game. 3 years of development is enough completely. So yes, we will do all the possible things to have it 2025.
Indeed. So yeah, the game is Barcore. Does it have a Steam page yet?
Yeah, there is a Steam page.
Okay, so you can go and wish list it today. Right, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. As always,
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Be sure to tune in next time for our Sunday reviews. And until then, I shall wish you good gaming.